free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Will never die.
Palestine will never die!
Jaffa, Haifa, don't you cry, Palestine will never die.
Jaffa, Haifa, don't you cry! Palestine will never die!
Nablus, don't you cry, Palestine will never die.
Nablus, cry, Palestine will never die! Free, free Palestine!
We're here because we're inspired by the youth of Palestine who are rising up, taking on tanks with slingshots, taking sledgehammers to the apartheid wall, rising up and standing for their liberation. And we're here because we condemn Israel for its blatant repression, for its extreme violence against Palestinians who are merely trying to claim their right to resist occupation and to their own liberation. Hannah's gonna share a few words about what's happening on the ground. I think people have been following the news. This is one of many rallies that are taking place all over the world. Dozens are happening in Europe, across North America, and we have solidarity messages from many other parts of the world today. So really, the Palestinian youth are rising and the whole world is with them in this struggle.
Thank you, Ioannis. Yeah, it is the Palestinian youth who are rising. Those youth who were born after the so-called peace process, the Oslo Accord. These are the ones who are rising up and saying, enough, enough. We are fed up with occupation. We are fed up with the American lies. We are fed up with the Western complicity in Israeli war crimes and Israeli ethnic cleansing. These people were born after the Oslo process, and they're giving the whole world the message that collaborationists with Israel and collaborationists with the US empire will not be there for long. They are rising up not only against Israel, but also against the status quo that is oppressing them and keeping them under the thumb of Israeli occupation. Mr. Abbas till now haven't cancelled the security coordination.
Shame!
22 days into the intifada of these youth who were again born under not just occupation, but under an Oslo process that's flawed, that's intended to keep the Palestinian people on their knees. We tell them no more peace process, no more nonsense, no more lies. You know, it started in 1948. Canada was complicit in the creation of the State of Israel for the role it played. Mr. Lester Pearson and Judge Rand played a major role in the partition plan of Palestine. In 1949, just 1 year later after the establishment of State of Israel, Canada co-sponsored a resolution to admit Israel to the United Nations. In that resolution, Israel committed itself to implement two resolutions. One of them was the partition plan, because they occupied not only 56% of Palestine, which was allotted to the Jewish people, they occupied 80% of Palestine. So the United Nations told them you should go back to the partition plan, and it was conditional to be accepted in the United Nations that you implement this resolution. This was one resolution. The other resolution was the right of return of the Palestinian people to their homes and hometowns and homeland. Till now, these two resolutions haven't been implemented. These two resolutions are rotting on the shelves of the United Nations. Since then till now, there have been 4 generations of Palestinians. I repeat, 4 generations of Palestinians who were either under occupation or the majority of them were in exile. 4 generations have suffered all these atrocities that's committed by the Israeli war machine and by the Israeli neo-fascists. And I call them neo-fascists because that's what they are. They're neo-fascists. They are motivated by superiority complex that we've seen in Europe and which led to a downfall of the fascists in Europe. Let's hope it will lead to the downfall of these fascists in Palestine. The situation really is dire now. Israel is killing people left and right, and they're not really taking any precaution. Even the so-called human rights organizations, the Amnesty International and the Human Rights Watch, they said Israel is using excessive force. Good morning, Human Rights Organization. Israel was using excessive force since its creation, since the Zionist gangs expelled 3/4 of the Palestinian people out of their homeland. They used excessive force since they demolished in 47-48 over 400 towns and villages. They were wiped out of the face of the earth. This is the kind of people the U.S. government supports. This is the kind of people this Canadian government supports. Mr. Harper said enough is enough. For BDS, he said enough is enough for the boycott, divestment, and sanction. He said enough is enough for calling the students for Israel Apartheid Week. We tell Harper and Trudeau, we tell them, and Malkier too, we tell them enough is enough. We are sick and tired for your support of Israeli war crime. We sick and tired for your apologizing for the apartheid system in Israel. We sick and tired for allowing such infamy to continue. We, the Canadian people, are saying enough is enough. Enough is enough. I just like to put it in a context to the whole situation. Israel can do this without the support of the US, without the support of Canada, without the support of the Western governments and Western countries. They're doing that, and they should realize they are complicit in these war crimes. They are complicit, and we will not forget this complicity. The Arab people will not forget this complicity. The people, the young people who are rising up are clear on the role of the US. And we call from here, from Vancouver, that the litmus test for any regime in the Arab world, the litmus test for any organization is where they stand from the US imperial designs on the Middle East. We say those who are collaborating with the US designs in the Middle East are traitors, not to the Palestinian people, but also to the Arab people and also to humanity in general. Just, I'd like to say, one more word. The Palestinian uprising is going on, and it's not gonna stop this time. They deceived us with many dreams. They deceived us with giving a bond to the Palestinian people by promising us independent states. We don't believe that anymore. We tell them the intifada will continue till liberation, till liberation, till liberation. Thank you.
I'm representing Independent Jewish Voices, which is an organization of Jews, Canadian Jews, all across the country who are not on board with the Conservative Party's position of support for the Netanyahu government. We believe that our interests, the interests of, the true interests of the Israeli people as well as of all peoples, are consonant with the liberation of Palestine. We are a Palestinian solidarity organization. That's our second identity after independent Jewry. I am awed by the restraint of the Palestinians. They put up with daily violence, humiliation, and harassment. They and their children are targeted, beaten, shot, and jailed, and their legitimate grievances are not addressed in the world's courts. And now, in the face of extreme provocation, the Israelis' brazen seizing of Haram al-Sharaf, the Temple Mount, and the attempt to bar Muslims from the holy site of Al-Aqsa Mosque, I'm afraid I would advise my comrades to do far worse than the mostly young Palestinians of Jerusalem have done so far. As Lamis Andoni wrote 10 days ago in Al Jazeera, in the name of peace, Israel wages a daily war against the Palestinians. What we are witnessing in the West Bank and in Gaza, excuse me,
happens to the rest of us.
Thank you, Ionis. And across the Gaza Strip is a continued national liberation struggle that needs to be fulfilled. They want an ordinary life, she wrote. But no ordinary life can be obtained without freedom. Unless the West acknowledges this reality, it is perpetuating injustice and acquiescing in Israeli crimes. And Daoud Katan, a day or so later, wrote, "The escalating violence in Palestine is mostly the outcome of a total absence of hope. Violence is the language of those who believe they have nothing to lose. It is beyond our power, those of us who support the Palestinian desire for freedom. It is beyond our power to offer hope to these young people. Yet that is what we must do. We must stop acquiescing in Israeli crimes and do everything we can to persuade Canadian policymakers to treat Israel like any other country and hold it to account for its crimes against the Palestinian people. Only when the rich and powerful countries of the West cease their collaboration with Israeli war criminals, can Palestine ever be free." Thank you.
So, well, I didn't prepare anything, but it doesn't take to prepare anything, especially when you're from Venezuela, to speak in solidarity with Palestine. And on behalf of the Hugo Chavez Front, and of course of Venezuelans, young Venezuelans, I can say that our people and our governments will not rest until they have helped to see Palestine recognized as a nation. Just yesterday, our foreign minister was at the UN talking about how it's been almost 70 years of the Palestinians being denied of their right to self-determination, being denied of their right to being acknowledged as a nation, and especially almost 70 years of the Palestinians being massacred by the Zionist forces, not only military but also paramilitary. Definitely the Latin American people understand what occupation is, what an invasion is, and that's why we stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people, and we always will. Viva Palestina libre!
Viva, viva Palestina!
Viva, viva Palestina!
Viva, viva Palestina!
Viva Palestina!
Viva, viva Intifada! Viva, viva Intifada!
Good afternoon. The Canada-Philippine Solidarity for Human Rights joins the international community in condemning, in no uncertain terms, Israel's intensifying ethnic cleansing and oppression of Palestinians, especially in occupied Jerusalem. The Israel's terrorist state has again shown that it does not recognize any law nor adhere to international norms when it carried out land grabbing and demolition of Palestinian homes, stepped up its racist attacks on the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, tightened the siege on Gaza, and implemented new racist measures against Palestinian citizens of Israel. The US-backed Israel government has long violated the rights of Palestinian people from the inhumane economic blockade and the large-scale destruction it inflicted on its genocidal war. Both the Israeli government and its chief backer, the United States government, are responsible for the continuing occupation and oppression of the Palestinian people. Only international public outrage, condemnation, and the people's version of economic sanctions will be decisive in isolating the fascist Israeli government. Force it to back down, break the blockade, and allow humanitarian aid to reach Gaza, and most importantly, uphold the right of the Palestinian people to their homeland. Free Palestine! Boycott Israel! The struggle continues. Long live international solidarity.
We are Vancouver, solidarity with Ayotzinapa. I'm going to speak on behalf of the 43 students missing in Mexico, the 43 students who disappeared by the Mexican government. We have one only struggle. We are fighting against fascist governments, as the Israel government, as the Mexican government who get sponsored by the United States. Governments, they want to put death before life in our communities. We want to say we are with you. We're going to be struggling with you. And we, as Latin Americans, we know when genocide become a reality. When genocide from the people from the upper class, this is what they want to put in front of us. Long life international solidarity. Viva la solidaridad internacional.
Viva!